This episode is brought to you by 180 Markets, where it is our goal to bring every individual, fund manager, family office, or any qualified investor access to Australian Stock Exchange capital raises. If you are ever interested in how to access ASX capital raises in a super simple way, 180 Markets is for you. The sign-up process is easy. You just upload your ID, proof of your investor status, and your current brokerage account information. The settlement of shares goes right into your existing account, and you can access our very next capital raise. If you're interested in free, easy access to thousands of ASX capital raises, including placements, IPOs, reverse takeovers, and more, check out 180markets.com.au. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of 18 Minutes with 180 Markets from, again, a lockdown, Melbourne, Australia. Obviously, 2/3 of the country's locked down, which is a shame. But in Australia, we're not just known for lockdowns. We are known also for world-class mineral resources, gold, copper, and more specifically, the Lachlan Fold Belt in New South Wales, world-class area, so many discoveries. And with us today to talk about his company is Thomas Wall from Legacy Minerals, an upcoming IPO with some incredibly exciting assets. And Thomas has a huge history in this area and some very exciting assets, as I've mentioned before. But enough with me discussing it. Thomas, welcome to 18 Minutes with 180 Markets.
Yeah, great to be here, Greg. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Thomas, everybody's got a story and you have a story too. Can you just tell us in a couple of minutes about yourself?
Yeah, sure, Greg. Greg, I've been working in the junior exploration industry for a while now. Started with a company, Golden Cross, and immediately focused in the Lachlan Fold Belt in New South Wales. After that experience, I ended up working with Peak Gold Mines. Peak Gold Mines is a pretty first-class outfit that's based out in the Cobar Basin, and that was just a great experience to get under my belt, but also have the exposure then to what it takes to turn a discovery into a mine. So after my time in Peak Gold Mines, I went and worked over in WA with Goldfields over at Cambowden in the St Ives area. And then I've come back to New South Wales and worked for private exploration companies, and now Legacy Minerals we're taking through to exciting period ahead.
Excellent, excellent. And also, obviously, your experience at Peak directly relates to your business at hand now at Legacy Minerals. Can you just tell us, though, a little bit about Legacy and what attracted you to these assets?
Yeah, great question. But the main reason is Legacy's been focused on identifying these sort of undervalued tenements that we could see had a clear progression towards realizing that value at both low cost, but taking advantage of initially some new science that was being made available by some great work done by the Geological Survey of New South Wales, combined with that side of things, that the new science that was identifying these areas that were prospective. We also leveraged my background on the mining side and really picked up projects that we could see that were amenable to modern mining methods. So we were looking at projects that had both the grade and the width that would be amenable to those modern mining methods, such as Harden and Ballura. We'll get to them in a second, I'm sure, but Harden, very high grade, but long and forgotten area, very high grade, mining widths that were between 1 and 3 meters wide, produced a significant amount of gold. And so what we're able to do then is basically capture those projects that we could quite clearly see where the exploration strategy lay, and had a clear path to realizing the work through that exploration strategy and realizing the value in those tenements and the projects.
Yeah, and can we discuss for a moment, because obviously there are a lot of companies on the ASX, a lot of assets in the Lachlan Fold Belt. Can you just go into the legacy projects as you just discussed in a bit more detail? What makes them different than a crowd and a separator?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question because the Lachlan Fold Belt is world-class and well-known for a great reason, and that's because it's got the ability to produce these tier 1 deposits. One of Australia's largest gold mines, Cadia Valley, but you've got significant gold mines like Cow, CSA. So we're in a position where we've got these tenements that are have very significant potential. So we're talking Cobar, our Rock Lead project, Fontenoy and Ballura. But we've been able to basically capture these other projects that have the high grades that for a long time have gone forgotten. You know, people come to exploring the Lachlan Fold Belt to try and find these tier 1 discoveries, and what gets left are these very significant mineralized systems that are company makers in their own right. And so what we've been able to do is basically create a portfolio that has a great depth, ranging from projects that have these near-term resources potential, high-grade gold and silver mines, through to these significant company maker projects like Rock Lee for porphyry coppers and Cobar for Cobar type deposits.
Yeah, and these high grades obviously are a major attraction, it sounds like to you. And obviously everyone's looking for what is upcoming. Can you just discuss to us, you're IPOing the business, coming on the market, investors will want to know, what do you see happening over the next 12 to 24 months?
Yeah, well, I mean, as soon as we're listed, we're going to be hitting the ground running. We're already organising the drill pads and drilling. We're going to be going straight into targeting the historic Ballura mine, and then following that will be the Harden gold mine and McMahon's Reef gold mine. In parallel to that work, we're going to be having work conducted on the other tenements. So we're building those through the pipeline so that once this drilling is completed, we're able to take the drill rigs and start drilling Fontenoy, Rock Lee and Cobar. Now, the reason we start with Ballura, Harden and McMahon's Reef is because they're drill ready and they're very exciting targets. So they're high grade, they grade from surface. They're significant in their strike extent, so they're over 200 meters strike extensive across all of them, and mineralization has been shown to go for kilometers across all the 3 projects. But as an example, Harden Gold Mine produced 55,000 ounces at something like 21.6 grams gold per ton. That project has never had a diamond drill hole into the fresh rock. And the last time that produced that historic production was 1915. So you've got this project sitting there with a huge potential, and we're going to be the first ones to actually poke a hole into it. McMahon's Reef, only 8 kilometers to the south, produced 20,000 ounces at 44 grams per ton gold. A significant producer now, Alkane, and a great explorer in New South Wales, they've just made the Boda discovery. They previously put a drill hole under McMahon's Reef and got 3 meters at about 21 grams gold. So they're the sort of intercepts and the sort of mines that we're going to be following up immediately post IPO.
Yeah, it's incredible that, so you're saying that, you alluded to earlier in the discussion about modern techniques. So much of mining has changed in the last 20 years, but you're saying in some of these cases, there really has been very little technical work done in 50 plus years. Is that accurate?
No, that's absolutely accurate. Yeah, we've not only has mining changed, and so we're more aware of what's required to turn a discovery into an economic mine. But some of these projects have just actually never had any drilling. And so it's exciting on 2 fronts. We're following up just some incredible hits in the first place, but we're also going to be putting holes under historic mines that are very significant in their own right. To produce 5,000 ounces before 1915 is not insubstantial. And there are currently operating mines out in Cobar and towards Tomingley and these sort of places where the historic mines didn't produce anywhere near, those sort of grades. Dargues Reef is another good example. The difference between those modern mines and those operating mines and what we've got here could be said to be the fact that they were actually drilled underneath and these weren't. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I guess I have 2 questions that come up right away, which is, have you noticed that a lot of discoveries, especially over the last 2 to 4 years, let's call it, have been just from going a little bit deeper down?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Sure, deeper down. And when you say deeper down, you mean you're just targeting deeper deposits?
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the industry is moving away from, and as it rightly needs to, just those potential discoveries that are near surface, because in a lot of areas they're just seen to have already been tested. The potential of those areas to be tested, and so a lot of exploration work has moved towards those areas that are have sufficient cover. Modern cover, covered by quaternary, or alluvium and things like that. So they're termed exploring undercover. That being said, there are significant opportunities to realize in some of the old legacy data. And if you're careful about it, you can sometimes realize opportunities that have been missed, and you don't need to necessarily be going, undercover and exploring in these sometimes far-flung districts. And to be honest, it's when you start doing that, you need to have, for the most part, deep pockets, because as soon as you start exploring undercover, it does often require some significant capital outlay, not just for the drilling, but the geophysics that's required to sort of target those drill holes.
Yeah, no, for sure. They're a lot more expensive than just coming up near surface. But then again, I suppose that the upside is as well huge. Hey,
That's right.
one of the things we are constantly hearing, and I'm curious if it also takes place in your prioritization, is a shortage of equipment. We have modern techniques, but you need modern equipment. Does that phenomenon go through your mind as well about where to target first and next and so forth and so on? Because it sounds like, you're going to drill, from what I can see, about 20,000 meters over the coming time, which is certainly a very, very aggressive campaign.
Yeah.
Are you actively trying to get equipment in place already?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things that you have to do, particularly in the industry nowadays, to give your drill contractors the sort of lead time, give them the information as to what the project's going to look like. But if you give them enough time, we are able to secure the rigs to do the work. And fortuitously, we've got a good relationship with a number of drill contractors, and as well as geophysical contractors as well. And so that allows us to have confidence when we say we're going to be able to drill. Like you've said before, we're looking forward to being able to get cracking immediately. And there's 20,000 meters of drilling, to be completed over the next 2 years. Almost 5,000 meters across Ballura and Harden, and then between 3,000 and 4,000 meters across the remaining projects. We can have confidence in those drill meters because, particularly for Ballura and Harden initially, we've got walk-up drill targets, and we know what we're doing immediately there. And then for some of the regional targets across Ballura, Rocklea, Fontenoy and Cobar, we know that with further work, there's going to be some high conviction targets there for the drill testing. So we've afforded ourselves the opportunity for a major discovery across multiple projects.
Yeah, and just to confirm, Vellura, that'll be the first place that you'll start?
Yeah, that's right, bang on.
Right. And so would you hope to see results out to the market, say, by the end of the calendar year?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. We'll be, the IPO is looking to be the end of August. We'll go straight into drilling. We'll have the drill rig basically revving and just waiting for the green flag. And as soon as that's given, they'll go on. We're looking at about, for gold results, we're looking at about 2 to 3 week turnaround for gold results. And then for multi-element results and your base metals, you can pretty well double that. So you're looking at a month and a half. So we're fortunate in that we've got a relationship also with the lab that we've already organised, and for gold results, that's gives the market certainty about some of the timing there, particularly for gold. But for the base metals, there's going to be a bit of a lag. But the company owns a PXRF machine. Base metals, with RC in particular, we're in a position where we can, where appropriate, give indicative results, and just what we're seeing, not necessarily indicative, but what the company is seeing and what the PXRF is telling us. So that news will continue to flow and should be available, let's say 4 weeks out from the IPO.
Yes, and for those of you that don't know, in my next life, I want to come back as a lab owner because certainly they are as busy as anybody in the world right now. Tom, can you talk a little bit about the upcoming IPO? It's really, the first chance for the company to be public, for investors to buy into you in a public market anyway. The funding, can you just talk about how far does that carry you? Because you mentioned that drilling is expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. So the IPO will be taking us through it's a full funded 2 years of exploration work. And that 2 years of exploration work is going to be drilling across all projects. The important point there is that when you're drilling across all the projects and the sort of quality of targets that we're hoping to be drilling and that we see to be drilled, what you're affording any investment in the company is just multiple discovery opportunities. Straight off the bat, we're going to be drilling 3 high conviction targets with historical production. And then across the other 3 tenements, you've got the opportunity there, as we build on the systematic work that we'll be doing in parallel to the drilling, to be drilling high conviction targets there with some serious potential for the sort of deposits that are going to be hosted in these areas. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, I can hear it in your voice. And Thomas, if you don't mind me asking, is drilling and waiting for those results some of the most exciting times in your life?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. The PXRF machine does sort of help out sometimes particularly when you're targeting copper. It can give you a little sniff as to what you might be seeing, but those gold results, you just can't help but wait. And for some of the projects, the gold's, trapped in some of that quartz and pyrite, and you just can't do anything but wait and cross your fingers.
Absolutely. Thomas, we try to keep these interviews short, unfortunately. Do you have any closing remarks for the audience?
Greg, listen, it's a very exciting time for Legacy Minerals. We're going to be hitting the ground running, as soon as the IPO is finished, and we're going to have the opportunity to make some discoveries, immediately. They're very exciting targets, and the company's fortunate that we've got this pipeline of very significant projects, down the line. So there's lots of news flow, and we're very, very keen to be getting cracking. So thank you very much.
No problem at all, Thomas. Definitely stay in touch, and we look forward to watching your results.
Cheers, Greg.
Bye-bye.